Alright guys, so I'm going to go through the pre-assessment with you real quick. A lot of you had questions and were asking me to go over the answers so you guys know what you got right and what you got wrong and how to do the correct method. So I'm going to go through all 15. Again, just skip to the questions that you want to look at and everything should be good, but I'm going to start with number 1. So again, number 1 says you were just hired at Shake Shack because you are super broke and you need some money. While working there, you found out that a senior employee who works 16 hours earns $39.50 more than a junior employee who works 18 hours. It says the senior employee earns $14 per hour. Again, what is the hourly pay? We want the hourly pay. So again, it's comparing senior salary to junior salary. Now, what it gives us is, all right, the senior employee works 16 hours and he gets $14 an hour. Then it also says that he earns $39.50 more than the junior employee. So let's say we have no idea what the junior employee makes, so let's call that X. So junior employee money. So again, let's just set up our equation. Again, we have to do 16 times 14. When you do 16 times 14, you get 224. So he makes $224 in 16 hours for $14 a pop. Then you know that the junior employee has to work 18 hours. We have no idea how much he gets paid, but we also know that if we add $39.50 onto it, then we get to the senior employee. Again, if we take his hourly wage and we add $39.50, that's how much a senior employee takes. So again, you don't have to set up an equation here, guys. A lot of you said you did it arithmetically, and that's awesome. Congrats. When you go about and solve this, you're going to do 224 minus $39.50, and you're going to get 184.5. You're going to divide that by 18, and you're going to get an hourly wage of $10.25. $10.25. So again, many ways to do this, guys. Equations, that's how you set up as an equation. But again, whatever method you find the easiest, whatever way you got this answer, just go with that. All right. Number 2, solve this inequality. Now again, guys, whenever you attack these problems, you have to think in your head, all right, what's the one thing I cannot make a mistake on? Given this type of problem, what did Mr. Z always talk about paying attention to? With inequalities, it's the negative sign. Because remember, with negatives, it's going to flip the inequality around. So first and foremost, let's distribute this. So we're going to distribute the negative 6 through. So we're going to have 46 is less than or equal to negative 6x plus, when you do negative 6 times negative 18, we're going to get positive 108. I don't know why I wrote the plus twice. Minus 2. Minus 2. So again, when you subtract 2, this is just going to be 106. Alright, so I have 46 is less than or equal to negative 6x plus 106. Now I want to subtract 106 on both sides. So I'm going to have, well, if we do 46 minus 106, that's going to be negative 60. So I'm going to have negative 60 is less than or equal to negative 6x. Now again, you guys are like, oh, that's easy. It's going to be 10 because, again, we got to divide by negative 6. Remember, though, when you divide by negative 6, you have to flip this inequality. So it's going to be 10 is greater than or equal to x. So the big thing with this problem is, all right, first off, we're dividing by a negative, so we have to flip the inequality. Second off, now this inequality is backwards. You guys are typically used to reading it from left to right, all right, when the x is on the left-hand side. But now the x is on the right-hand side. So when you're reading that, you have to alter how you read it, unless you want to flip it completely around. So if you want to flip all of this around, you have x is less than or equal to 10. X is less than or equal to 10 is A. Again, the trap answer, the one that maybe you guys would pick, would be D, because that's the second closest to getting this. Just if you can't read the inequality correctly. Alright, number 3. Number 3 is just asking you which inequality statement represents the situation in the problem. Now, when you're looking for inequalities in a problem, you have to first pay attention to A, the inequality word, no more than. No more than means it has to be less than or equal to. That means C and D are gone. That means this is between A and B. Again, guys, a test-taking strategy when you're taking the EOC, constantly be thinking, what can I eliminate? Do some answers not make sense that I know for sure are completely out of character? Get rid of those. I know tickets cost $42 each, and I also know for the upper deck, they're 75% of the cost of the lower deck. Not 75% more, 75% of. So if something is 75% of the cost, that also means it's 25% less. But if we just find 75% of 42, you're going to see that we get $31.50. So the only other answer that could make sense is B. Again, 42X, where X is the lower deck tickets, $31.50, where Y is the upper deck tickets, and again, no more than $800. Number 4, determine the solution of the equation. So again, guys, now we have a multi-step equation on our hands. First and foremost, distribute everything that you see. So I have a 5X. I'm going to distribute this negative. Remember, guys, it's not just a negative, it's a negative 1. So I'm going to distribute this negative 1. So when I distribute this negative 1, it's going to be plus 7 minus 4x equals, same concept here, minus 5/3 x plus 4/3 plus 16/6 x. Now this looks like a mess. Honestly, it does. Alright? Especially this side. Now I'm going to simplify this side first because I can see 5x minus 4x is just x. So I have x plus 7 equals negative 5/3 x plus 4/3 plus 16/6. If I want to eliminate my denominator, I have to multiply this entire equation by some number. Alright, I don't want to deal with fractions. I want to get rid of my denominator. So I'm going to multiply everything by 6. If I multiply everything by 6, that's going to eliminate this denominator, and this denominator. Then I'm going to have all whole numbers. So multiply everything by 6. 6x plus 42 equals, this is going to be negative 10x, because 6 times 5 is 30, divided by 3 is 10. 6 times 4 is 24, divided by 3 is 8. So this is plus 8, and then I'm going to have 6, well, that's just going to be 16x. Now, I'm going to simplify this right here. I'm going to have 6x plus 42 equals 6x plus 8. Now, you can see what's going to happen. I'm going to be subtracting 6x from both sides. When I subtract 6x from both sides, guys, they're going to cancel each other out. I'm left with 42 equals 8. Now ask yourself, does 42 equal 8? The answer is no. No, it does not. So remember, when you get a false statement, when these numbers don't make sense, when it's not true, it can't work. There's no solution. Now, if I had 42 equals 42 or 8 equals 8, I'd have infinitely many solutions, but in this case, I have no solution. Number 5. Number 5 is the dreaded question that you guys have been dealing with all year, especially back in late August, September, October, when we were working with equations. This problem gave you guys fits. Alright, you know that Sean began walking 30 seconds earlier than Curtis did, and Sean walks at a speed of 6 feet per second. Curtis walks at a speed of 9 feet per second. For how many seconds had Sean been walking at this moment when the two boys had walked exactly the same? Now, we know that x is going to be seconds for Curtis. Alright, and that means we have to figure out, first off, how much Curtis walked and then how much Sean was walking. So it says Sean was walking at 6 feet per second for 30 seconds. So before he even started walking, he walked for 180 feet. Then he kept walking. Curtis started walking as well at 9 feet per second. This is the equation that you guys have to solve. Remember, it's 180. Again, I'm not putting 30 here. I'm not having a time plus a distance equals a distance. It has to be a distance plus a distance equals a distance. We're not trying to measure time. We're trying to measure the distances against each other. That's what we're comparing. Solve it. You get 180 equals 3x, and obviously x is going to equal 60. So you might be like, oh snap, it has to be D. No, this is Curtis's speed. The question says, how long has Sean been walking? I don't know why I crossed it out. How long has Sean been walking? 30 seconds earlier, 60 plus 30 is 90. So again, be careful with these equations, guys. these word problems. They're pretty simple, they're pretty straightforward, but at the same time, they're easy to make a mistake on. Now, number 6. Linear inequalities. It says, which graph best represents the solution for negative 2x plus 7y is less than or equal to 112? I can't tell which one I'm dealing with. I mean, I can actually, I lied. I can tell which one I'm dealing with. First and foremost, if we look at these lines, I know that A is dotted, B is dotted, C and D sorry, B is solid, C is solid, D is dotted. If I look at my symbol is less than or equal to. The equal to implies that we have to have a solid line. That means A and D are gone. That just leaves C or D. Sorry, C or B. Now, shading above or below. It's risky to determine what you need right now. I know it says less than or equal to, but remember, when we solve for y, if I divide by a negative, I might have to flip my inequality. So just check it out. If I add 2x, I'm going to have 7y is less than or equal to 112 plus 2x. If I divide by 7, I'm not flipping my inequality, so the inequality stays the same. Since it's less than or equal to, it has to be below the line. B is the answer. Number 7. It says, what is the value of x in the solution to the system below? If I'm looking at this, guys, I want to solve for x. Now, I'm not going to try to use elimination here. This is set up perfectly to be a substitution, because if this y is negative 6x plus 18, that means this y is also negative 6x plus 18. So I'm going to have 3x equals 2 times negative 6x plus 18 plus 14. And look, all we have left is x's. We no longer have to plug it back in for y because we need to find the value of x. I'm looking for the value of x. So if I just solve this equation, I'm going to have negative 12x plus 36 plus 14, which gives, I'm going to add 12x over and get 15x. I'm going to combine these and get 50. I'm going to divide by 15, and I'm going to get positive 10 thirds. I'm going to get positive 10 thirds. So it's A. Because again, 5 goes into both of these, x equals 10 thirds. And again, I'm not trying to solve for y, I'm trying to solve for x. If it asked me to solve for y, I'd have to then plug 10 thirds back into x and then solve for y. It's not that hard, it's just another step. Alright, number 8. It says Ben is trying to bulk up for the beaches of LA because we all know Ben is on the smaller side. I mean, facts. These are just facts. He is making his own protein powder where he mixes soybean protein that costs $8.50 per pound and whey protein that costs $4.50 per pound. So I'm going to underline this because this is pretty important. It says how many pounds of soybean protein does he need to have in order to make 800 pounds of protein. So that costs $5.50 per pound. So again, if x is soybean protein and y is whey protein, I know that if I add them together, it has to be 800 pounds. I also know that soybean costs $8.50 and whey costs $4.50. And I know that has to equal $5.50 per pound at 800 pounds. Again, since we're multiplying price times weight plus price times weight, this has to also be price times weight. These terms have to be identical types. I can't have price times weight plus price times weight equals price. That doesn't make sense. They have to be similar. So again, guys, if I'm solving this, I need the cost for how many pounds? I'm solving for x. So I need how many pounds of soybean protein? I'm solving for x. So that means I want to eliminate my y value. So I'm going to multiply this by negative 450. If I multiply by negative 450, I'm going to be able to eliminate our y's. We're going to have our x's left over. I can solve for x and be done with this. So this is going to be, I'm going to move over here. I'm going to run out of room. I'm just going to turn to the back, actually, I lied. It's going to be negative 450x minus 450y equals, if I do 800 times 450, I get 3600, and I still have 850x plus 450 y equals, if I do that, I didn't do that 550 earlier, so let me do that. I get 4,400. And don't forget, this is a negative 3,600, my bad. So when I add these together, guys, this is going to be, first off, this is going to cancel. That's going to eliminate the point of elimination. This is going to be 4x, and this is going to be 800. Divided by 4, x equals 200. A lot of you thought that this was going to be a mixture question because you're so bent on, do I create a chart or do I not? Like, what do I do? Do I only have one equation? I'm not sure. Guys, with these systems, if they give you enough information to create two equations, go with it. So they gave us, we had two quantities that we didn't know, but we had the price for both of them. And we knew the cost at the end and the weight at the end. We had enough information to make two equations, so again, we can just make two equations and solve. The mixture questions only occur when we have, if they give us an amount. So if they said, oh, you have 200 pounds of soybean, but you don't know how many pounds of whatever. You don't know the number of pounds of whey, and they don't give you the total weight either. They just tell you have a mixture of $5.50. They may not give you the end weight. That's when you have to create a table and list everything out and then set your two sides equal. But again, with this one, it's pretty straightforward. So if I go to number 9, let me go to number 9 real quick. Another systems of linear inequalities. Systems of linear inequalities. Let me refocus real quick. Alright, so we're good. If I'm looking at this, first things first, guys, anytime you have a graph, make sure it's in y equals mx plus b form. If it's not, put it there. It is. We have y equals mx plus b form in both of these. Y is less than negative 2x plus 2. Y is greater than x minus 1. So I'm looking for two graphs. I'm looking for the graph that has a y-intercept of 2 and a y-intercept of negative 1. Now, if I'm looking for the y-intercept of 2, that's the line going down. So these lines that are decreasing, that's this first one. Then the line going up is the second graph. So for the first graph, it's y is less than. If y is less than, it needs to be below. So again, if I'm looking at my downward slope line, it needs to be below the line. So it needs to be here, or it needs to be here. Because again, both of these sections are below. That means it can't be D and it can't be A. Now if I look at the other one has to be greater than. So again, this line is going up. So if my shading is greater than, that means it's above. Above this line is here or here. Well, this one down here, that's below. I don't want two belows, I want one above. Has to be B. Again, the shading has to be above this line and below this line. And number 10, it says which system of equations is best represented by this graph. Guys, when you have this one, you just gotta grit your teeth and kind of solve each one of them. You don't even have to solve them, actually. You can just check to see which graph looks close, which lines look like the lines you have written, because again, the lines are all different. So if you can match an equation to a line, you're like, oh yeah, that's actually it right there. So put these in y equals mx plus b form again. And again, this question is going to be annoying, but just put in y equals mx plus b. I'm going to subtract 3x and divide by negative 1. So I'm going to have y equals, well, if I subtract 3 and divide by negative, that's still 3x. I'm going to divide by negative, that's negative 2. So I need a line that has a y-intercept of negative 2. This line has a y-intercept of negative 2, and it looks like it's going up 3 over 1. Yep, it does. So this line right here matches. Now let's see if the second line matches. This is supposed to be a y, by the way. I'm going to subtract 4x and divide by 9. So if I subtract 4x and divide by 9, I'm going to have y equals negative 4/9 x. That's a gross slope. 36 divided by 9 is 4. Well, I have a y-intercept of 4, and let's see if I go down 4 over 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. Oh, that's that graph, and that's this graph. It has to be A. So if this wasn't A, this question would have been terrible. Alright, it would have been terrible. But again, since it was A, we're good. There's nothing else you can do, guys. Just, again, put in y equals mx plus b form and just grit your teeth and get through it. Okay? Number 11, linear equations. Solve the following system for R. So if I want to solve for R, I have to first get rid of the 4/3. You get rid of fractions by multiplying by the reciprocal. The reciprocal is 3/4. Now this is pi times r cubed. To get rid of multiplication, you divide. So now I have 3v over 4 pi equals r cubed. So if I'm looking, this one's gone, and this one's pretty much gone. Because again, I need a pi in my denominator. Finally, to get rid of the cube, you cube root. If I cube root, it's d. Again, just like undoing squares, you square root. To undo cubes, you cube root. Last 4 questions real quick. Are we focused? We kinda are. Solve for h. If I want to solve for h, I first have to get rid of this 2. I gotta multiply. This is division, and we multiply by 2 on both sides. And again, guys, this is your trapezoid formula. You have to memorize it. So if I want to get rid, if I want to isolate h, I need to get rid of b1 plus b2. Since we're multiplying by b1 plus b2, now we have to divide by b1 plus b2. So if I'm going to divide by b1 plus b2, I'm right here. A. 13. Which equation is equivalent to 2x plus 3y minus 12? Just put into y equals mx plus b form, subtract 2x, 3y equals negative 2x plus 12, divide by 3. I get y equals negative 2/3 x plus 4. Y equals negative 2/3 x plus 4. And again, since it's negative, I could have automatically got rid of a and d. Alright? Again, try to eliminate choices as you go along, guys. Don't just leave it a chance. 14, I have to solve for g. Solve for g. So if I have f equals gm squared over r squared, multiply by r squared, then divide by m squared, g equals fr squared over m squared, it's b. And finally, guys, number 15, solve for h. I have to get rid of this 1/3. You get rid of fractions by multiplying by the reciprocals. The reciprocal of 1/3 is 3, so I multiply by 3. So I have 3v equals pi r cubed times h. And again, I'm trying to solve for h. So since I have pi times r cubed times h, to get rid of multiplication, I divide. So let me divide by pi r cubed, let me divide by pi r cubed, and that's my answer. This, 3v over pi r cubed. So again, guys, those are your answers. If you have questions on them, you can come see me. Otherwise, hopefully you understood everything. Good luck with the rest of your assignments, and good luck on the post-assessments. Again, be sure you are canceling out answers when you can. Alright, don't leave it to chance. Try to help yourself. Otherwise, take it easy.